Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a monster analysis on MOP, the newest and latest Team Race Thunder monster. Alright, so MOP is an interesting monster because he's the newest Team Race monster and he has an evolving trait, but he's the first monster to have an evolving trait all the way to rank 5. Other evolving trait monsters we've seen, they get a new trait at rank 1 and then the last one at rank 3. This monster gets his first evolved trait at rank 3 and then the last one at rank 5. So, not sure how people are going to feel about this. I can imagine it's really towards the negative side because in order to fully utilize this monster, you need to rank him up all the way to rank 5, and even though he's a Team Race monster, it's not that easy. But with that being said, let's jump into this monster analysis. So, MOP. When he starts the game, he has Hardened, and the interesting thing here is that Hardened is 25% chance as opposed to 20% chance to not get hit with negative effects. So, it's like an upgraded Hardened, I would say. At rank 3, he gets Status Caster Precision, which pretty much means he's not going to miss his attacks. It's the equivalent to having like True Vision with War Master Charizard. Your attacks will not be missing, so that's really good. And then at rank 5, this is where he really shines. He gets Control Immunity, so this monster cannot be denied by your conventional Possession, Stun, or Freeze, making him an absolute beast. Because if the enemy goes first and can't deny you, you get a guaranteed attack in on the enemy, and you have your increased accuracy, so you're not going to be missing your guaranteed attack. So at rank 5, this monster truly shines. And with that being said, let's talk about his stats. His power is quite powerful at 3663. This is the second highest in the Thunder category. It's second only to Old Nair, who has a power of 3696. So just a few points. And obviously, Old Nair has nowhere near as good a trait as MOP, well at least when he's fully ranked up. And then as for his life, he's also quite tanky, even though he doesn't really look like he'd be a tanky monster. 38,001 in the Thunder category. This is the 5th highest. Up first is Francine Frank, then Inquisitor Fullman, then Old Nair, then War Master Bari, and then we have MOP. So incredible power stat, incredible life stat, and then for speed, also pretty incredible at 3498. This used to be like the go-to deny speed back in the day. What used to be 3465 and then 3498 came along. So now MOP has that speed, and in the Thunder category, it's still pretty fast. It actually puts MOP tied with Stormbeard and Zyla the Faithful, and he's slower only than Mercurius, Neobuki, Voltar, Hydrotil the Boltcaster, and Thorder. And of those that I named, the only deny one is Voltar, and I guess Hydrotil the Boltcaster, I think Boltcaster can do stun. But yeah, it's really Voltar with Possession. So MOP is super fast, and this monster is an attacker, but also can be ran as a denier. So you have yourself a really fast, versatile monster essentially. In terms of relics, this monster can hold the Sword Relic and the Trap Relic. I mean, those are pretty good relics. Sword, you typically see this on an attacker. You can give well, it really depends what you have. So there's relic swords that can drain stamina. There's relic swords that deal extra damage. There's some that do both. For traps, you know, Ablation Trap is the more popular one. After you take a certain amount of damage, you drain stamina from all of the enemy monsters. Really good relics. In terms of books, this monster is a villain monster. He's in the families and he's in the spirits. So I know he has a lot of composition, especially in the spirits book. Alright, with that being said, let's jump into his skills. Starting off with tier 1 skills, Feline Folies. Deals heavy special damage to an enemy. Here that means 45 damage, no cooldown, so it is spammable, so even if you get hit with CDA, you're completely fine. And it costs 15 stamina, and it also applies bleeding to the enemy monster, which will drain HP for the next 3 turns and reduce the damage output by 20%. We also have the next skill, deals moderate special damage to an enemy, applies Quicksand to one enemy, gives 1 extra turn to itself, requires cooldown. Oh, I like this one. So, it's not that strong of a skill, it's only 30 special base damage, it does have a 2-turn cooldown, but it only costs a very low 10 stamina cost, and you're applying Quicksand, which will drain enemy HP for the next 3 turns, or is it 4 turns, and you get yourself an extra turn. So it's a nice little way of doing a little jab, applying a DOT, and then following up to your next attack. I like this skill a lot actually, and it's been a while since we've actually seen Quicksand. Most monsters nowadays, they always apply Curse. Curse is like the new go-to DOT, so it's kind of nice to bring something back. Alright, we also have Blunt Sword, deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies, AoE skill. 50% chance of applying stun to all enemies, 50% chance of applying shock. So this costs 30 damage, it's a 30 damage thunder based AoE with no cooldown, so it is spammable and it only costs 21 stamina. And again, at rank 3 you give yourself increased precision, or increased accuracy. So the likelihood of this landing is definitely higher. So 50% chance to stun and 50% chance to shock. This is really nice, I would say, against extra turn monsters. For example, Voltic or Zyla, since they are in your category. If you try to stun a Voltic and you miss, because Voltic has Hardened and Xyla has Bulwark, well then they're going to do their extra turns to attack you. But now since you have a chance to land Stun and also Shock, Shock actually prevents extra turn skills from activating. So if you can just land one or the other, you essentially deny them from utilizing their extra turn skills and prevent your team from dying. So that's how this skill works. I like it. I like it more with the Status Caster Precision, but if you're not going to be rank 3 and you can't utilize the skill, I wouldn't recommend it. But I also would recommend actually utilizing it and trying it out to see how often it actually lands. Alright, with that said, let's move on to tier 2 skills, Just You Wait. Apply stun to enemies, apply shock to all enemies. So here we have our AoE version, guaranteed stun and shock, especially with that increased accuracy. Awesome, 2 turn cooldown, 25 stamina cost, not bad at all, and this is why you can run this monster as a deny monster. That is to say, if the enemy isn't immune to stun, or there's no Megaton monster on the enemy team, or if they don't have evasion at the start of the battle or skill mirror at the start of the battle, there are so many things that can go wrong nowadays, where if you rely on a single deny, where you don't remove the positive effects first, but I guess that's why you have a teammate, and I guess it really just depends on your own individual circumstance whether or not you're going to be able to use MOP as a denier. I imagine if you're new to the game and you're not really encountering the monsters that start the game off with a status caster immunity or something of the sort, then you could use MOP as a denier. I think if you are in a higher league, you might end up using MOP more as an attacker, which brings us to our next skill, Fiddlesticks. Deals massive thunder damage to an enemy, applies daze to an enemy. The daze is whatever, but the crazy thing about this skill is the 70 thunder base damage. That is massive on a 1 turn cooldown. 25 stamina cost. This means that you can literally do Fiddlesticks, attack an enemy monster, maybe OTK the enemy monster, who knows, depends how this monster is ruined. Keep in mind your sword can also activate, so maybe you do Fiddlesticks on turn 1, and on turn 2, you can do Gallopin to give yourself an extra turn. You'll deal 30 special base damage, you'll apply the quicksand, you'll give yourself an extra turn, and then you can do Fiddlesticks again, essentially 100 damage to a single enemy monster. That is quite powerful. If the enemy monster is still alive, it's also going to have a quicksand. So this is what makes this monster super strong. Next up is I Eats Me Spinach, applies double damage to itself, doubles the max life of itself, applies damage rates to itself, applies taunt to itself. Wow, this skill does a lot. So double damage essentially sets up for your next attack, especially if you're going to do Gallopin or if you're going to do Fiddlesticks. That is mighty powerful. The double max life is also really great on this monster considering he has a high life set to begin with. The damage mirror will reflect damage he takes, and then the taunt will attract all single target attacks toward yourself. And then I Eats Me Spinach becomes even more powerful if you have this monster at rank 5 with a control immunity, because if the enemy monster tries to single deny, they're not going to be able to single deny you. So you definitely become a huge threat as a sort of a tanky monster. So yeah, this monster, he has the capacity to deny, he has the capacity to be an attacker, and he also has some sort of tankiness to him. Moving on to tier 3, we have Dizzy Dishes, deals moderate thunder damage to all enemies, applies daze. Here we just have a standard AoE skill. It's a 40 damage thunder based AoE that also dazes the enemy monsters. This reduces accuracy and damage output by 25%. Puss gets the boot. This skill removes positive effects from an enemy, applies stun to an enemy, applies shock to an enemy, requires cooldown. So here we have it. Just about all new monsters have a skill like this that removes positive effects first. So it doesn't matter if the enemy monster has evasion. It doesn't matter if the enemy monster had a skill mirror, some sort of whatever they had. If they had a shield, 100% shield, you get rid of that. Then you stun, then you shock. So this is a good skill. But as you notice, this monster has a huge trade-off. With skills like this, it deals no damage, which takes away from his high power stat. So this monster is being run as an attacker with like 2 level 10 strength runes. While you could utilize a skill like this to get rid of whatever positive effect the enemy monster may have, you're also foregoing damage, but at least you do get to stun. So again, there's that trade-off that exists. The last skill we have is Sink in a Bathtub. Deals moderate special damage to an enemy, applies quicksand to an enemy, deals moderate special damage to enemies, applies shock to enemies, requires cooldown. So here, let's break this skill down. You target a single enemy monster with special damage, and you quicksand that single enemy monster you attack. But at the same time, you deal moderate special damage to all enemies. So I can only interpret this as you're going to deal 30 damage to a single enemy monster and then 30 damage to everyone. So if it does hit the single monster you attacked in the first place, that's going to be 60 damage to that one monster and then 30 residual damage. And on top of that, you apply shock to everyone. So the reason skills like this are being released more and more is because there are so many monsters with dodge area trait. So this is a good way to attack that single monster you want while also attacking everyone else. So you shock the teammates, you single quicksand the enemy monster. It's an okay skill, I would say. 3 turn cooldown, kind of hefty. I'd rather you just do Fiddlesticks on the monster with dodge area. Heck, I'd rather you do your extra turn skill, Quicksand, and then Fiddlesticks, and you're probably going to kill the dodge area monster. So, overall, like I said, a very interesting monster. Has a lot of 0 damage skills that are really setup skills. One is a deny, just to wait. Itemy Spinach is a setup slash a tank skill, and then Puss gets the boot. It's like the anti-metal right now, but it deals no damage. And then we have a lot of damaging skills, as you can see. Let's talk about the ultimate. That's all, folks. Deals very heavy thunder damage to enemies, applies mega stun to enemies, applies shock to enemies, applies quicksand. And I mean, this is a fantastic ultimate, especially for an attacker monster. You do your ult. If everyone does get hit with mega stun, they're immobilized for 2 turns. The shock will prevent extra turns. It'll also deal some low damage, and then the quicksand will deal damage. And those 2 turns, considering this monster has really other like powerful skills, you'll probably knock out the enemy team if you can. So overall, MOP is interesting. He also doesn't stand out to me that much, I would say. Like, maybe it's the fact that you get control immunity at rank 5. I'm not liking that. The precision I like at rank 3. It would have been nice if he was like the other monsters that at rank 1 he gets something and then at rank 3 he gets something else. But I mean, maybe because he's a team race monster, Social Point thought that would be too easy, because a lot of players will probably be getting this monster at rank 4, and some players will get him at rank 4 and get a bunch of cells. But overall, I'm a little iffy on the monster. Like, I love the monster. I love the monster design. I love all the references. I really love the references. And then Fiddlesticks is cool. The extra turn skill is cool. I would personally use him as an attacker. I do love the versatility. But I don't know, I'm also not feeling this monster compared to like how I felt other monsters. But that's just my personal takeaway on MOP. Now I want to hear from all of you guys. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about MOP? And how many laps is your team going to be going for in the lovely World Team Race? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much, and I will see you all next time.